We are just now starting to see how savage Hamas can be.
Now we know that Hamas is a genocidal organization committed to the murder of Jews, innocent Jews.
The IDF says that all school-aged children telling the parents of them that they need to remove TikTok and Instagram off their kids' phones, saying that Hamas has said that over the coming hours it will begin to release videos of people pleading for their lives.
We begin tonight with Israel on the offensive, pounding the Gaza Strip with ferocious airstrikes in response to the terror attacks by Hamas. The airstrikes are believed to be paving the way for a massive ground invasion of Gaza, where Hamas is holding dozens of hostages, including some Americans. For the latest on the war, we're joined now by Correspondent Sarah Coates, who is live in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, hi there, Lindsay. Look, it's certainly a little bit of an eerie time where we are right now in Tel Aviv. The city is normally bustling, really pumping, but everyone's staying home simply due to the fact that they just not know what is going to happen next. Over the last few days, the IDF has been telling people to stock up for 72 hours worth of food and water and that type of thing, with people just really unsure where this conflict is going to go. As you mentioned, there have been rocket attacks coming from the north, rocket attacks coming from the south. We haven't had any rockets here in Tel Aviv for a couple of hours now, although down in this Gaza envelope down south, they continue to be pummeled by rockets sent over from the Gaza Strip. Now, as you mentioned, a heavy troop build-up there on the Gaza border. We are hearing that Egyptian officials, they have told Israeli media that they have a line of communication with Jerusalem, who says, get ready for a months-long campaign, saying that Israel will do everything to completely wipe Hamas off the map, deal a huge blow to Hamas to completely cripple it. So, look, that really is the latest on the ground. We are hearing that a ground operation is imminent, and really, judging by the numbers of soldiers down on the Gaza border in the south, that certainly looks to be the case.
We had the UN Secretary General just last night say his concerns about this siege that Israel is planning on Gaza. Although we did hear also Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warn Palestinians to get out of Gaza if they can. Are we seeing people able to get out? Is this going to turn into a humanitarian crisis?
Well, look, Gaza is already in a humanitarian crisis. Any way you look at it, is one of the most densely crowded areas on Earth. There are more than 2 million people packed into a tiny coastal enclave. And really, Lindsay, their suffering is brought on by the actions of Hamas. It uses a lot of money that is fed into Gaza from outside sources like the United Nations and other people that give aid money to Palestinians. Hamas uses this to build terror tunnels, to build weapons infrastructure, and really it hangs its own citizens out to dry, using them as human shields, putting its weapons in places like schools and in hospitals. So yes, in saying that, of course, there is a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. It has one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. It is now completely blockaded by Israel. And this is, of course, over security concerns. Israel cannot afford to leave any more holes in its border after what happened over the weekend. The death toll here in Israel has already risen to more than 1,000 Israelis. The Rafah crossing, which goes into Egypt, has been shut. We do understand that some aid and some medicine potentially coming in from Egypt was blocked. So, look, there are still heavy strikes going on in the Gaza Strip. Hamas has come out to say that, as I mentioned to you, it says that for every strike it will execute one of these prisoners. It's estimated that there are at least 150 Israelis being held in Gaza. We do know that US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, he will arrive here in Israel on Thursday to talk to some of the top military personnel and try and figure out a way forward. But look, other family members of these hostages, they landed here today and they are pleading with the Biden administration, pleading with the Netanyahu government to do anything possible, anything they can to secure the safe release of these captives. Two more little points on that. The Red Cross has also tried to facilitate some kind of dialogue with Hamas with regards to these captives. Absolutely nothing happening there. While Hamas has issued a pretty chilling statement, the IDF says that all school-aged children telling the parents of them that they need to remove TikTok and Instagram off their kids' phones, saying that Hamas has said that over the coming hours it will begin to release videos of people pleading for their lives. So, look, if that doesn't send shivers up your spine, then nothing will, Lindsay. It's an absolutely horrendous situation.
Horrifying, absolutely. Sarah Coates for us in Tel Aviv, thank you. Please stay safe. Hamas is a wily enemy that knows how to hide in Gaza, a small and badly overcrowded territory home to 2 million people. Israel has been fighting with Hamas for decades. But this time is different, with Israel aiming to crush Hamas like never before. For more on the military strategy, we're joined now by Benjamin Anthony, an Israeli IDF combat veteran and the co-founder and the CEO of Miriam Institute. Benjamin, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Lindsay.
So we are just now starting to see how savage Hamas can be. They have beheaded babies, raped and killed women, dragging them through the streets, burning families alive in their own homes. What do we know now about Hamas that we didn't before and how they operate?
I think for many years, the international community has sat around wondering what is the true face of Hamas. Well, now we know. Now we know that Hamas is a genocidal organization committed to the murder of Jews, innocent Jews, committed to the murder of Jewish women, men, children, unborn children, to their kidnapping and to torturing the Jewish people with the hope that the Jewish people will be annihilated and destroyed. But the reality of the matter is they will bear the brunt and bear the burden of what they have undertaken today. Surely there has been a mistake on the part of the Israel Defense Forces and the Israeli security forces, but the true mistake that will come to light for all to see is Hamas's ill-conceived evil deeds, because they will pay a tremendous price as a consequence of that.
So in Gaza, you have civilians commingled with hostages right now. You have Gaza, which is a very condensed space, as I mentioned before, and this isn't to mention the tunnels that they have. How does the IDF approach all this? It seems very complicated.
It's very complicated, but it's also very straightforward. The fact of the matter is that Israel's citizens have been attacked in the homeland on a scale that, quite frankly, we have not seen Jewish civilians murdered in a similar fashion since the events of the Holocaust, in my opinion and my estimation. What that means is that while things may be complex over in the Gaza Strip, the mission of the Israel Defense Forces must be kept very, very simple. It's to go in, it's to destroy the enemy, it's to kill the enemy, it's to dismantle Hamas. It's to stay, in my view, as long as is needed in order to bring about that goal.
And it's not just Hamas in Gaza. You have Hezbollah to the north. You have enemies on all sides, essentially, of Israel. So how hyper-focused does the Israeli military need to be right now? Because it seems like a lot of focus is on Gaza, but there are a lot of enemies at hand right now.
There are lots of enemies at hand. You're absolutely right to draw the threat from the north to the attention of your viewers. And I can tell you that our forces are deployed en masse along the northern border. We are watching very carefully not only the Lebanon front, behind which is Hezbollah, which has, by some estimates, 200,000 munitions aimed towards the homeland of the State of Israel, but also we are watching Syria, which has fired on the State of Israel of late, just to show that they are supportive of the actions of Hamas. So we must be vigilant, we must be determined, and I'm afraid that we must be prepared for the possibility, it may not come to pass, but for the possibility that we will be engaged in a multi-front war for our own protection and our defense. And I'm confident that the Israel Defense Forces is up to that task, and I'm confident that we will beat back this reign of terror against our people on itself.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that this could take years. This could take a very long time. We know that Iran has been a huge funder of Hamas. They said that they were not involved in the planning of these attacks, yet multiple reports suggest that they were. The Ayatollah of Iran came out just today saying this, quote, "We kiss the hands of those who planned Israel's attack." Is there anything that Israel should be doing right now that they're not towards Iran, and how to handle them?
Well, this is the same Iran denying its involvement in this attack as the Iran that denied that it was pursuing nuclear weapons capabilities until the curtain was pulled back on that lie. Iran is not to be taken at its word. Iran is not to be believed. I think that the Israeli security forces, which has a very, very long arm domestically and internationally, yes, must operate along our borders to crush our enemies inside the Gaza Strip, and if needed, inside southern Lebanon. I'm speaking about Hezbollah there, but also to maintain clear focus on the head of the snake being Iran, Tehran, and the Ayatollah's regime there. And we should act in any way that is needed in order to prevent anything that even vaguely resembles the atrocities of late taking place again and being revisited upon the people of Israel.